I'm Pat Micone, president of the Republican Club of Laguna Woods, and we're here today for our show Light on America, where we bring you truth and facts that dispel misinformation and disinformation, and even malinformation surrounding the key issues of the day. It's a new day in America, and we are so excited about President Trump being back in the White House and J.D. Vance, and we are so excited about what they will bring, the reforms they'll bring to restore our U.S. Constitution, and yes, make America great again. So with that, I'm honored to be here today with my friend and colleague, Betty Oliker. Betty is our new Vice President of Programs for our club, and she will be introducing our special guest speaker. So welcome, Betty, and take it away.
Thank you, Pat. I'm honored to introduce our guest today, Roseann DiCostanzo. Roseann has been involved with New California State 501c4 nonprofit for 4 years. Roseann has been confirmed as one of the New California State delegates who will advocate for statehood in Washington, D.C. within the next few months. Some of her duties include creating and managing an OC executive committee and promoting the organization through community and social networking. Her duties of Orange County Senator include participating in a weekly Senate call, unless in recess, creating resolutions to advance the constitutional government of California, and holding citizens' hearings regarding various concerns and insights into the county, such as voting, government, and schools. Roseann is an Orange County native for the past 65 years. Welcome, Roseann.
Thank you. So glad to be here. I am absolutely delighted to share with anyone about how we have hope for our state. So truly delighted to be here.
Roseann, we have been hearing about the new California state now for many years, so we're very excited to have you back to update us on what's happening.
Absolutely, and so much has happened.
Who is NCS, or who is New California State?
Well, New California State is is what we go by. NCS is our quick little acronym, shortened, and we are We the People. We the People is where the Constitution was founded, the first words, and we are people is where it's at. So we are people who are adhering to the Constitution and realizing that our state is in danger. We'll talk about how those issues have impacted the state. And so we want people to stay, not leave. We had a chance back when I had a girlfriend. We were going to ask them if they wanted to join us for an event that night, and she said, no, we're going to go state shopping. And my husband and I had a discussion and said, do we want to shop states? And we said, no, we are in our last house. We're here to stay, and we are going to fight this, and we're going to make our state fabulous again. And New California was the solution that I found that made sense, following the Constitution, to get us to the next steps to save our state and bring us back to the Constitution.
It's exciting. A new golden state again, California.
Exactly. Well, I use the tagline of taking California back to the golden glory days of yesteryear.
Yeah, oh boy, we want that, and that's why we have you here.
And so many people I talk to are very skeptical. How will this happen?
So there's no need to be skeptical, because we were told in our Declaration of Independence that we the people have the right to throw off the tyrant. And in California, we have seen with Newsom, with Schwarzenegger, with Jerry Brown, so many that literally were coming to this point to have it be so that it was obvious that California would be unlivable. And so with that, it's our right, it's our duty to throw off the tyrant. So the only responsibilities that a state has to be a state is to follow Article 4, Section 4. And those three requirements are that we must have a Republican form of government. Anybody living in California knows that we have a mono-party dictatorship right now. COVID really cinched that when our legislature seriously turned over all their duties to Newsom. So he was appointed as a dictator at that moment in time. The other two responsibilities of a state is that we have freedom from invasion, and anyone in California will tell you, as we have boats landing on our beach, we have buses schlepping people in, that we are far from freedom of invasion, and there is massive, and then we must be free from domestic violence. And Prop 47 was the kingpin that put that one out in the open. Governor Newsom blessed his Prop 47, which essentially eliminated all rules regarding property theft and everything, and we have just had nothing but chaos, and everyone's allowed to steal, $999
Yes.
any minute that they want, as long as you do it like once a day. And everyone based on Gascon's and George Soros appointee attorneys, district attorneys, are not following the rules and prosecuting these people. They're just letting them go out and rob again. So we the people, businesses, everyone has really suffered under these fallen, atrocities.
I've read there's been many failed attempts. So can you update us on that? Share about that.
So many have tried to separate California. There, in fact, have been over 200 attempts to separate California into multiple states or two or whatever, but no one has followed the Constitution. New California is the first to actually follow the Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, which gives the specific steps on how to separate a state from another state. And with that, we are following the West Virginia model. So exactly how that went down are the steps that we've taken. And in doing so, we have come to the end of those tasks, if you will, and followed all those criteria. We can talk about each step that we've done in just a moment.
Yeah.
And why do we need to create a new California state?
Well, we need to create this new state because the state is actually now in the process and has officially, based on all the fires and everything else that has happened, seceded from the union. So we have the ability to throw off the tyrant. I've had so many now looking towards me about New California because they realize that these fires, the nonsense we've had when we had the COVID, California truly is not following the Constitution. So we're allowed to based on the Constitution, and we have the formula based on the Constitution. And so we have taken the actual steps necessary. We've had conventions. New California has had over 12 conventions. We've listed over 190 grievances and read those grievances at the Capitol steps. The president and founder has read those at Capitol steps. We've read those in court steps across all the counties in California, 58 counties. We've done over 10 declarations of truth. We have 15 declarations of default, all the ways that California has failed in its running of the state. And right now you have a group that just released their intentions called CalExit, saying that they are putting on a ballot that California will secede will secede from the United States. Well, Newsom, in many different instances, he's had negotiations with other leaders. That's not allowed by a governor. He's called and referred in conversations, news presses and whatever, that the nation of California, and that's not what a governor is supposed to do. California came into the Union of States in a compact in 1849. And with that, we agreed that we would follow the Constitution. We just itemized those 3 items. And with that compact, we were bound to be financially responsible to the other 50 states, to the other 49 at that time, to the other states. California was the 31st state to come into the Union. And so we were supposed to be financially prudent and reveal and show audited financials every year. And California for years and years and years has failed to produce auditable financials, and they're never timely. And California, in fact, just defaulted on a payback of EDD money just last week. So California has dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's to literally show that it is trying to pull California out of the Union of States. And New California recognized this. Our founders Paul Preston saw this vision when he was working in the school districts for 40 years and saw the Marxism creeping in and knew that there would be a time when the plan would be to replace California and have it secede from the nation. And what's ironic is it didn't just start to happen, but 30 years after this compact that was created to have California enter the Union of States, in 1879, another group, we will call them progressives, communists, all the terms are synonymous. They kind of switched around and made a little shuffle and replaced California's original constitution without having it go through the process of approval by Congress. And in 1879, they created a contract. So we have been operating, they've pretty much put the real constitution aside and been operating under this contract to run California, and that's why we have over 922 changes in California's what they refer to as the Constitution, but it's really a contract. Wow. So every time we make a prop this, prop that, it's considered an actual contractual change. And with all those changes, I mean, our U.S. Constitution has only had 27 actual constitutional changes. But every time that those changes are made, it cements certain payments. So there's so many that, we're going to save, fix, make California golden again. All these organizations don't fully understand that the books are set. There's not a lot of manipulatable money. Most people who are financially sound are like, oh, I could fix that because we'll just change, we'll just stop spending here and stop spending there. But of the budget, only 6% is manipulatable of how the California. So 6% based on how financially unsound California is. It just defaulted, so now it's officially, there's no cash. So there's no money, all the sources have been used up. So New California, separating and proposing to leave, gives a way for California to get a new start. A state cannot go bankrupt, but this is the closest thing that we do to help a state clear its name and get a restart. So New California allows California to release half of its debt, because we will take over half of the population, and we will be able to save both states. So New California will get fresh start accounting and a brand new constitution. California will get a brand new constitution that is the original constitution that the California came into the Compact of the Union of States with.
Wow.
So
this is so impressive.
It's historical, and people don't realize it, but we need it now. Nothing has shown this more in the spotlight than these most recent fires.
Yes.
And seeing the action and the inaction of government ineptness has really having a lot of people, reconsider their thoughts on is there another option?
Yes.
But saving California just by putting new people into place is not going to do it. That will not clear the financial situation. New California is how all that gets fixed.
We are so fortunate to have Paul Preston and your team spend years doing this. Obviously, you've done your due diligence and you are making steps. So with that, when can we expect that you be able to accomplish this, Roseann?
So Chris Street is our CFO, and he actually will be a name that rings a bell to many that have lived in Orange County area for a long time. And Chris Street was the one who helped manage the bankruptcy of Orange County, which was a Cloward Piven strategy to have all Orange County, which was always the strongest Republican stronghold and most conservative, to have it go down the drain. So with the help of Bill Clinton, all those pieces were put into place, and California, Orange County ended up going through a bankruptcy. And Chris helped manipulate that in such a way that he was able to have it be a much softer landing, and he is our CFO. So during the bankruptcy process of Orange County, he was making contacts with the Legislative Analyst's Office and really got a strong feel for how all these offices work, where they bank money, how they stash money, where the money comes from, how this whole system works. So he always knew that there would be a time when California was financially done, that would be our moment to strike. And so we've been doing all the work to get all the documents into place and have that time. And as he would say, the time is now. So Paul Preston, Chris Street together, we have done so many things to really get us to this phase. And now we're at our last phase.
So going forward, what is your greatest challenge?
So first, one of our challenges is just sharing with people how the map works. So everyone, the first question they ask is, where's the line? So there is no pretty line with New California, but Paul, with his team of founders, studied that for ever and ever and ever and realized the best way to save the state was to split the population in half. And it turns out that half of the population is in the urban areas and the other half is everything else. Well, ironically, the other rest of the area is because everyone says, wait, there's no pretty line. It's going to look like Hawaii, except instead of separated by land, by water, it will be separated by land. So urban LA, urban Bay Area, and urban Sacramento have the mass of the population. Those are the urban areas. And everything else are the areas that have been completely neglected by California. They don't like the forests, the roads, and all these other systems that need to be maintained. They like the people. And so all of our tax dollars from Orange County and all the other counties, San Diego, everything else, we've all contributed, all of our pot and all of our tax money has gone to the urban areas. And for decades and decades. And so now it's time that the urban areas have a clear voice, a representative government, and the urban area will have the same. So what helped to hasten that process of the urban areas having such a strong voice was in 1961 there was a act that Reynolds versus Sims that passed. And it was warned that that would destroy the nation. And in fact, our second state in the works of new states will be Illinois, and Everett Dirksen was from Illinois, and he explained constantly to Congress how this Reynolds versus Sims of taking a senator out of each county, which was a representative for the businesses, the agriculture areas, just everything else, including the people, but really all the components that make up each county, that representation was lost and the representation went to the people areas. So many rural areas lost their representation and all of the say in decisions solely went to the urban areas. So that's why there's been such a disparity. That's why New California is so needed to give a voice to the the rural areas that have so long had their tax dollars shipped off to the urban areas and not have it represent their needs in their communities.
Roseann, we're so excited about all these details, and so can you share a little bit more about what we can expect?
Well, New California will first have, because we have declared that California has seceded from the Union of States based on ordinances that California has been practicing in slavery, it's been involved in insurrection and not following the Constitution, and that it has seceded from the Union, that there will be a reorganized California, which saves California portion, and then the separation as the new state comes on is New California. And what that will look like is that right now there are over 17 layers of government, bureaucratic government in the California system.
Our current state.
In our current state system, 17. And Chris Street is working on, has a vision to get it ideally to 5, but he thinks somewhere between 6 and 7 tiers of government and really reduce the bloat of bureaucracy and return a lot of the power back to the counties. So right now, when California gets a check, it literally ends up taking a cut off the top because it's managing money and then chooses, and sometimes very slowly, to send that money to counties. Well, they're relying on this money to have their budgets stay true. And with the New California, the money will be a much more efficient flow. Federal funds will go directly to the counties, and the county will be more responsible. Representative government that's county-based and right there where the people are, and money can be dispersed and what have you. So
We're
it really
going to have our own
simplifies.
Doge. We're going to have our own Doge.
Exactly. It simplifies it. It gets rid of so much doubling of of expenses. It will really reduce a lot of the bloat and the executive duplications. So there will be a lot of people. Now the people that run it will be given more, the employees that aren't the executives. There are a lot of duplicative executives, but the people that are running it, that have their hearts and soul, they're all invested, and they will just be given more accountability. So the people that are handling, instead of reporting to 5 people who report to 5 more people, these people will literally be responsible for what they're doing and give their reports. So it really gives accountability back to the county.
Yeah.
And each city will also have, be able to be run. Cities are run that way, but the counties right now have really had a lot of control over them by the federal, by the state, and the state has even added regional areas, which has taken even more power away from the counties. So that we're going to return all of the local power back to the counties.
Wow. So our schools, law and order.
The schools will have their decisions made. We will be following the Constitution. We will absolutely not be having DEI involved in the equation, and thank goodness we have now are seeing that from top down with some of the new changes from this presidency, from President
in just
Trump.
1 week.
Yes.
Yes.
And so really taking a step back to the Constitution and breathing life into that document that so many people said should be changed or whatever. No, it's a living document. It's a document that needs to be followed, not changed at the blink of an eye, and we are going back to the Constitution and giving the voice back to the people. One important detail, if I can add that, is businesses. So we have, California has lost so many businesses. New California truly resets the business. We are going to instantly reduce taxes across the board. 25% reduction all the way across the board is Chris's instant goal. We have written documents to support that, and that's how some part of the documents that we're entering as the admission state. As a delegate, I have talked to other representatives of other states and said, do your people want to pay more for California and correct this mess? California has always received far more of its fair share of dollars than any other state, and it's time that we have parity, and the other states don't want to pay for California's nonsense. And so it's been unanimous. I mean, everyone's like, no, our people don't want to pay. So really, just pointing that out, that is the U.S. going to be responsible for bailing California out again, is just not going to it's not palatable. So that's the biggest blessing on our step forward as a new state, is that we're the ones that come with the solution on how to solve our own problems.
Wow. And I see more people will be wanting to stay in California and
Well,
not shop for states, like you said.
Oh, yeah, that's our goal. I mean, we're not moving. I have talked to many others. At this point, if you're still in California, you really have your heart and soul in California, and you know that it's going to, if everyone leaves, who's left to pick up the pieces? So the people that are here now really have their heart and soul invested in taking our state back to the golden glory days. And New California not only creates a new state, but we preserve California. We are going to have California have a brand new constitution. They will have new rules to follow. The Constitution will be followed, and we will be able to help them pay back the retirements that have been stolen from
PERS and the pensions and all of that's
and that's
really
a critical
big concern.
factor. That's one of the few things that state officials can be charged with. So we just love the fact that it's a win-win situation. California wins; it gets a brand new start. With its constitution, and it's able to restore its finances. By the time that we're in, California's financials will be truly audited, and we will know where all the fraud and money has gone, because so much of it has been, misused. And so New California will come in with fresh start accounting, and we will be off to the races. So the dams that were delayed from California, will be able to instantly put those into effect. They're already federally approved. We'll be able to have water. We'll be able to have electricity. So we will be able to attract businesses back to California. We will clean up, maintain the forests. We will get rid of, and instantly, a lot of these non-government agencies, OSHA and the AQMD, anyhow, all these different organizations that aren't truly, they're not federal, they're not government agencies. They're just appointed little offices, and they're gone. So we will really cut the red tape and all the bureaucratic nonsense out of the system and really give businesses a chance to thrive, give students a chance to be back on top. And we're going to take our schools back to the golden glory days when we were #1 for business, for travel, for places to visit, and clean up our cities and really show that California is back in the game.
It's so exciting, and it's so real to me. I know people are saying it's not real, but it's real to me. You know, when I think of Congress, I know that West Virginia, they had to go to, is there any challenges with Congress at this time in DC?
As these fires have shown, I've had my phone ringing by a lot of people who weren't that interested in New California. But now that they're seeing how broken California is, my phone is constantly ringing about people's like, now tell me more about this New California. So I love seeing that. And at the same time, Congress, I've been to Washington, D.C. twice as a delegate. I've got another trip coming up, and we are having a great response of people that are realizing that their citizens don't want to pay for California's mistakes.
Right. All the other states.
Yeah, and why should all of their tax dollars go to repairing California? So I really think, especially with Trump being the art of the deal salesman, I believe that this is really going to
timing is everything.
Well, if we save, there's always been a phrase, as California goes, so goes the nation.
Yes.
So if California is separated off as another country and taken and takes others, that destroys the Union of States, the United States. But if New California keeps California in the Union of States, and we have 2 states that function and represent the people, that means that California will have 26 electoral college votes, and New California will also have 26. So that.
So it's a win for both sides.
And it gives representation back to the rural people that have long been forgotten. So, and we will it's in our Constitution already that elections will be free and fair. California perfected the art of having elections be manipulated with these machines. And COVID put the icing on the cake with having mail-in and drop-off ballots going to people who, thought about living in California and used to breathe in California, but now that they're dead, they're still voting. I mean, this nonsense needs to stop. So having free and fair elections is instantly a game changer. And if we save our state, we save the nation and the world, because right now the United States is the last bastion of true freedom. And it spawned in its infancy other nations and other countries to start developing their declarations of independence. So imagine what that does for the freedom of the world when we've got many beacons of light.
Roseann, this just opens up so many more conversations and so much more details, which we want to get into. So we're going to have you back for our next session. But we thank you so much for being here today, and you're going to be our keynote speaker.
I am so looking forward to that. Yes,
we had Roseann 2 years ago to introduce New California State. So now she's back. We know that with all she said, lots happened. So please join us at our February 7th meeting. You can call Patty Zingaro at 303-886-9600 to reserve your lunch. Or you can just come for speaker only for only $5.
So stay tuned for part 2 in March to learn how New California State will be organized and what steps we can do to participate.
Look forward. We'll see you next week. Betty and I are really happy to be with you, so we'll see you next time.